Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into a chilling urban legend that is, frankly, going to make you completely rethink your next midnight drive. If you're someone who loves a good campfire tale, well, you are in the exact right place. So let's just get right into it.
Seriously though, put yourself in this situation. What would you do if your car just died on a supposedly haunted bridge at exactly 1:17 a.m.? Just imagine that creeping sense of dread. Because today, we're unpacking a truly terrifying sequence of events. And the craziest part? It starts with a completely relatable, desperate medical emergency before spiraling into an absolute nightmare.
Section 1. The Rainy Night.
Okay, so let's set the stage here. We're in Pune, it's mid-July, and relentless heavy rain is just absolutely flooding the city. You know those nights where the streets are completely empty, thunder is echoing off the buildings, and it just feels incredibly uncomfortable? That is the exact vibe. And right in the middle of this perfect storm, we have Ria. She's a 26-year-old with a physical disability, and she is in a desperate bind. She urgently needs to get medicine for her younger sister who's burning up with a dangerously high fever. Since she can't drive herself, she flags down a taxi. And this brings us to our driver, Kunal. He's this quiet guy in his early 30s. When he asks which way to go in this absolutely brutal weather, Ria nervously tells him to just take the fastest route. So Kunal's GPS recalculates, and well, it points them down the quickest, but ultimately most fateful path possible. And that route takes them straight to Holkar Bridge. Now, if you aren't familiar, this is an incredibly old bridge in Pune that is pretty notorious. I mean, it's completely surrounded by these chilling local rumors of strange figures appearing after midnight, specifically when it's pouring rain. Now, the absolutely crucial thing to remember here is that neither Ria nor Kunal actually believed in ghost stories. To them, this was just an urgent errand to get medicine. But the bridge was definitely waiting for them.
Section 2. The Haunted Bridge.
Let's look at the exact moment this ordinary, quiet taxi ride just completely derails. The time is exactly 1:17 in the morning as the taxi rolls onto this totally deserted bridge. The rain is lashing the windshield so hard you can barely even see the road ahead. Hitting the specific time, 1:17 a.m., basically signals to us that the true witching hour has officially arrived on Holkar Bridge.
Suddenly, standing right dead in the center of the road is a woman. She is wearing this completely soaked white sari, and she's holding the hand of a little boy. Kunal slams on the brakes. He violently stomps them, and the taxi screeches to a halt mere inches away from them. Ria is terrified, wondering where on earth they even came from out here. And then, slowly, the woman raises her head. Her face is just completely covered in blood, and she has these empty, pitch-black eyes staring directly into the taxi. And then the child smiles. But you guys, this wasn't a normal smile. It stretched far, far beyond his cheeks. It is just this moment of absolute, grotesque, supernatural horror. Understandably, Kunal completely panics. He steps on the gas as hard as he can to get them out of there, but the taxi just refuses to move. The engine dies completely. And to make matters worse, every single light inside the vehicle goes pitch black.
Section 3. 3 slow knocks.
So now, with the engine dead, the only sound left is this deafening, heavy rain, and then there's just one slow tap on the glass. Just imagine the sheer, paralyzing dread of hearing that second tap while you're trapped in your seat. And then, the third knock. Breaking that agonizing silence, Ria slowly turns her head, and right there, staring back at her through the window, is the dripping, wet little boy. He is standing right beside her door, and his tiny hand is pressed completely flat against the cold glass, with water just pouring off his clothes. Right through the glass, the boy whispers, "Have you come to leave us here again?" Ria's heart practically stops in her chest. She is completely frozen. But before she can even process that, the horror hits the other side of the car. The grieving mother suddenly appears right outside the driver's window, and she speaks in this broken, echoing voice saying, "You all watched, but nobody saved us." Inside the car, Kunal is desperately cranking the ignition, just begging the engine to start, but nothing happens. His hands are literally trembling uncontrollably on the dead keys.
Section 4. The Mother's Scream.
Things are escalating incredibly fast now. The temperature inside the taxi absolutely plummets. It gets so cold so quickly that their breath is suddenly visible in the freezing air. The true supernatural assault is starting right here. You hear a creak, and the doors, they just unlock all by themselves. Both the front and rear doors slowly swing wide open, letting that violent, heavy rain flood right inside the car. The ghostly mother starts stepping closer. But here's the thing, her feet aren't actually touching the ground, she is floating. Meanwhile, the little boy climbs right up onto the hood of the taxi, staring dead through the windshield. His pale face twists into that horrifying grin again, and he slowly points down toward the river below the bridge. So Rhea follows his finger, she looks down, and for a split second, she sees dozens of shadowy figures standing beneath the bridge in the absolute dark, and they are all just silently watching them. And that's when the child on the hood whispers, "We never left." Let's just recap how chaotic this timeline is, because it all happens in mere moments. At 1:17 a.m., the engine dies. Just seconds later, the doors force themselves open. And then we hit the climax. The mother unleashes this piercing cry, a scream so incredibly loud and deafening that every single window in the taxi shatters all at once. The impact is entirely physical. Kunal is covering his ears, blood is literally trickling from his nose. These ghosts start moving closer and closer to the open doors, but just as they're about to reach inside the vehicle, dawn breaks. The very first rays of sunrise cut through the storm clouds, and instantly the bridge goes completely silent. The ghosts just vanish into thin air, and like absolute magic, the engine roars back to life entirely on its own.
Section 5. The Missing Driver.
Without even hesitating, Kunal floors it. He speeds away from Holkar Bridge as fast as the car can go, drops Rhea off at her destination, and completely vanishes before she can even get a word of things out. Which brings us to the really unsettling aftermath of this whole thing. Look at this comparison here. Years later, Rhea finally worked up the courage to share her terrifying experience with her friends and family. But when she tried to track down Kunal to see how he was doing, absolutely nothing. He had disappeared entirely. No taxi company had any record of a driver by that name. Now, some people think he just packed up and left the city forever, but there's a much darker local whisper going around. They say Kunal actually returned to Holkar Bridge on another rainy night and, well, he never came back. Section 6. The Final Warning.
Okay, so what is the real takeaway here? If you ever find yourself driving near this area, there are some very strict survival rules you absolutely need to follow. Step 1, and this is by far the most important. Avoid Holkar Bridge entirely after midnight during heavy rain. Just don't even risk it. Step 2. If you are somehow forced onto that bridge and your vehicle suddenly stops, remain in your seat. Do not get out. And step 3. If you hear 3 slow knocks on your window, never, ever open the door. You really have to understand the real-world warning hidden within this urban legend because, well, some passengers are still out there waiting for someone to save them. Which leaves us with one final, deeply unsettling thought. If those trapped spirits are still out there on Holkar Bridge right now, waiting in the pouring rain for a car to stop, will you be the one to save them, or will you join them?